"You're useless now," my dad said, after I told my family I got laid off. "You know we need your money to survive, yet you wasted a good job." They didn't know about my secret investments, so I was 23 when I took my first real job, data entry at a small insurance company. I worked 10-hour shifts, sometimes on weekends because my family needed money. My mom was sick and needed expensive treatment. My dad was often between jobs, so I felt responsible. Aaron and Bella, my younger siblings, were both in school, and I wanted them to have a normal life. I never went to parties. I never traveled. My paycheck covered rent, groceries, medicine, and my siblings' school fees. Some nights, I lay awake with worry, but I believed my efforts would be worth it. I saw it as love. Whenever the bills stacked up, I wrote the checks. Whenever Mom needed help walking, I'd be there. She would say, "Thank you, Jasmine." But then she'd add, "Make sure to work harder. Medical bills are expensive." Dad would sigh, "We're lucky to have you." But it always sounded more like relief than gratitude. 12 years slipped by. I missed birthdays with friends, turned down promotions that required travel. I was so busy caring for them, I forgot to live for myself. I never thought it would become my prison. But it did, and it all started to crack the day I lost my job. It happened on a Wednesday afternoon. My boss called me into her office looking pale. "I'm so sorry, Jasmine," she began, "but the company is downsizing. Your position is terminated." I felt my heart sink, but I held it together, nodding slowly. I cleared out my desk in silence. Years of loyalty, gone in a moment. Some coworkers hugged me. Others avoided my eyes. I tried to stay calm, reminding myself I could find something else soon. But inside, I was terrified. My family depended on me. On the long bus ride home, I kept imagining how I'd deliver the news. Would they be supportive? I pictured my mom's sad eyes, my dad's usual sigh, maybe Bella's sarcastic comment about wasting my life. "But I hope just this once," they'd say. "It's okay, Jasmine. We'll figure it out together." When I stepped into our small cluttered living room, everyone was there. I took a deep breath and said, "I was laid off." Silence. Then Aaron laughed under his breath. Bella shrugged. My parents exchanged a look of disappointment. They said nothing comforting. I felt a strange sting in my chest. Something told me this was only the beginning. "Useless," Aaron mumbled from the couch, not even trying to be subtle. My stomach twisted. Bella folded her arms. "So what now? You plan to freeload while you find another job?" Her tone stung like a slap. I tried to keep my voice steady. "I've supported this family for 12 years. I just need some time to find something new." My dad huffed. "Time? We have bills, Jasmine. You can't just sit around." Mom, who was resting in her recliner, raised an eyebrow. "Your father's right. We all rely on you. You know that." I glanced at my siblings, recalling all the times I paid for their clothes, textbooks, and phone bills. Aaron scrolled on his phone, not even looking up. Bella pretended to pick lint off her sweater, like my news was an annoyance. I forced a smile. "I'll get back on my feet soon, don't worry." But the tension in my chest grew. When I turned to leave, Aaron snickered again. "You're worthless if you can't keep a job." His words echoed in my head. I went to my room, shut the door, and sank onto my bed. For the first time, I felt angry rather than just hurt. The next morning, I offered to help around the house, cook, clean, do laundry, while I sent out resumes. I tried to be helpful and keep the peace, but Bella rolled her eyes. "Don't bother. You're clumsy in the kitchen." Aaron was sprawled on the couch again, playing a game on his phone. "She'd probably burn the eggs," he teased without glancing up. Their words sliced deeper than they probably intended. Once, I'd have brushed it off, telling myself they were just stressed. But now, I felt a hot surge of resentment. I squared my shoulders. "I'm trying to do my part. You guys act like I'm not good at anything." Bella shrugged. "It's not like you can help with the bills right now. Maybe just stay out of the way." Dad walked in, rummaging for coffee. "Let her do something," he told Bella. "God knows we need the house tidy." Then he looked at me. "But don't complain if you mess it up, and don't expect thanks, Jasmine. This is your duty." I swallowed the lump in my throat. They saw me as a servant, not a daughter or sister. My heart pounded with a mixture of shame and fury. That evening, I sat on the old armchair in the living room. Everyone was there, and I tried to broach the idea gently. "I've been working for so long. Maybe it's time I rest a bit, consider a new path, maybe even early retirement." Silence fell. Then Bella snorted. Aaron nearly choked on his soda. My dad leaned forward. "Retire from what?" he asked, genuinely baffled. "It's not like you made millions, Jasmine. You've been doing odd jobs, nothing special." My cheeks burned. "They weren't odd jobs, Dad. I was a team lead at my company. I saved them a lot of money over the years." Mom shifted in her recliner. "Please don't act like you are a hotshot. We're the ones who needed real support." and you gave just enough. Retirement is for people who actually succeed. I stared at them in disbelief. After all the sacrifices, they still saw me as this perpetual workhorse. I've been giving you my entire paycheck for years. I just want a break to breathe. My mother shrugged, turning her attention to the TV. We need your help, Jasmine, not your break. Stop daydreaming. Anger flared in my chest. I felt ready to explode. Days passed and the tension grew heavier. The job hunt was tough and I was still reeling from losing my old position. My dad pulled me aside one morning, his voice low. I spoke with a friend. He owns a cleaning agency. They're hiring. My blood froze. A cleaning agency. Dad, I have office skills. I led projects. He shrugged. We need money. You're home all day. It's either that, or you better help pay for a caregiver for your mother. Then Bella chimed in from behind me. Yes, a caregiver might be best, but since you can't afford one, you can handle mom's care yourself, right? Everything inside me twisted. I wasn't above any job, but their tone felt cruel. They made it sound like I was a lazy sponge. I snapped. I'm not your maid. I've supported you all for over a decade. Can't you see how unfair you're being? Aaron snorted. Unfair? You're the one who lost your job. You can't pull your weight anymore, so do whatever Dad suggests. I felt something snap in my chest, like a final tether had broken. They had no respect or gratitude. This was the last straw. That night, I sat at the kitchen table, my heart pounding. Mom was watching her drama shows, Bella was painting her nails, and Aaron was finishing dinner. Dad was in his usual spot, half asleep on the couch. I cleared my throat. Everyone, can we talk? They looked at me, uninterested. My voice shook, but I forced the words out. I'm done being your personal bank and live in help. I won't be treated like this anymore. Bella clicked her tongue. Where's this attitude coming from? Mom turned the TV volume down slightly, but didn't pause her show. Oh, Jasmine, you're making a scene. I stood up, ignoring the tremor in my legs. I sacrificed my youth to support you all. I skipped vacations, promotions, even a chance to go to college. You treat me like a burden now when I might just need some time to breathe. I won't do it anymore. Dad rolled his eyes. And what exactly are you gonna do about it? My heart thumped so hard I could hear it in my ears. I'm leaving, I said, my voice clear. For good. I can't stay here another day. I saw shock in their eyes, but not an ounce of sorrow. I lay awake that night, my mind drifting to the past. I remembered being 17, fresh out of high school, with dreams of studying architecture. I had been accepted into a reputable university, my future glowing with possibility. But then Mom got sick, Dad's job fell through, and the mortgage was overdue. They said, you have to help us, Jasmine. There's no one else. Bella and Aaron needed clothes and school supplies. I felt guilty wanting to leave, so I stayed. I took that data entry job instead, telling myself it was only temporary. But the more time passed, the more they depended on me. I tried to speak up once. I told Mom I want to go back to school. She replied, stop being selfish. The family needs you. Dad chimed in, it's your duty. I swallowed those dreams and kept working. At 23, I found a better role. My boss there, Miss Perkins, was kind and recognized my dedication. She became like a mentor, even a friend, but I never told my family how close we'd grown. They never asked. Now, all those memories felt like chains. I realized how much of my life I'd given away and how little they cared. I woke up early, heart pounding with a secret I'd kept even from myself. Miss Perkins had passed away a year ago. She had no children and few relatives. In her final months, she told me, you've been the daughter I never had, Jasmine. One day you'll understand how much I appreciate you. I remembered standing by her hospital bed, holding her frail hand. She made me promise I'd take care of my own life, not just everyone else's. I never thought she'd actually leave me anything. But months after her funeral, a lawyer contacted me. Miss Perkins had set up a trust fund. She left me $9 million. I was stunned at the time. I hadn't told my family, afraid they'd demand more, or call me a liar. So I left the money untouched, wanting to be sure I could handle it responsibly. But now, I was ready to use it. Not for them, but for me. The thought filled me with both guilt and excitement. I pictured telling my parents. I imagined the look on Aaron's face, but then I shook my head. This was my chance to break free, and I wouldn't let them ruin it. By dawn, I was packing my clothes into a single suitcase. Outside, I heard the usual morning chaos. Dad complaining about the power bill, Mom asking for her pain meds, Bella snapping at Aaron for hogging the bathroom. It felt like any other day. But for me, everything had changed. I zipped my bag and took a deep breath. I walked into the living room where they all gathered. I'm leaving, I said, voice steady. I can't stay here. I'll find a place of my own. Mom glanced at the suitcase. You're being dramatic. Dad scowled. And how will you afford that? You have no job, remember? Bella smirked. Good luck couch surfing. Aaron rolled his eyes. You won't last a week on your own. Instead of arguing, I forced a calm smile. Watch me. I walked to the door. My heart pounded, but I felt oddly liberated. Dad muttered something insulting under his breath. Bella just flipped her hair. Aaron shook his head. Mom warned, don't come crawling back when reality hits. I stepped outside, letting the door slam behind me. I felt a surge of adrenaline and a flicker of hope. There was no turning back now. With my suitcase in hand, I made my way down the driveway. Suddenly, my dad emerged from the house shouting, if you leave like this, don't expect a welcome here again. I turned around to face him. My breath caught in my throat. Part of me still wanted his love, but I remembered all the years he ignored my feelings. He waved his arms angrily. We took care of you your whole life, and you repay us by running off? A surge of indignation flooded me. Took care of me? I've been paying your bills. I shot back for over a decade, and you never showed me respect. Mom appeared behind him, leaning on the doorframe. You're making a mistake, Jasmine. You'll regret turning your back on us. My siblings hovered in the background, arms crossed, eyes cold. They offered no protest, no concern, nothing. I said nothing else. I just hauled my suitcase behind me and left. Each step felt lighter, as if I'd just slipped free of chains. My father's threats and my mother's warnings no longer held me captive. Their voices faded, and I realized, for the first time, I was in control of my own life. I walked several blocks until I reached a quiet cafe. My heart still pounded with adrenaline. I ordered a coffee and sat in a corner, gripping my phone like a lifeline. The lawyer's card was still saved in my contacts under Perkins Trust. I dialed. When a receptionist answered, I requested an appointment. They sounded warm, professional, relieved to finally hear from me. Over the phone, the lawyer explained the trust fund was fully set up. You just need to sign a few final documents and the funds are yours, he said. My mind spun. This was it. Real tangible power. After years of feeling powerless, that afternoon, I checked into a nice hotel nearby. I used my credit card, one I rarely touched. In my mind, I imagined how my family would react if they knew I was staying in a suite overlooking the city. They'd probably call me irresponsible or delusional, but I was tired of living by their rules. As the sun set, I stood by the window and watched the skyline. A wave of relief hit me so strong, I nearly cried. I wasn't trapped anymore. Tomorrow, I'd finalize the inheritance, and then everything would change. The next morning, I dressed in a crisp blazer, feeling oddly confident. At the lawyer's office, the legal assistant greeted me with a stack of papers. My signature flowed onto each page, and with every stroke of the pen, I felt a swell of freedom. Once finished, I walked out with a sense of awe. $9 million, it was dizzying. I had never seen more than a few thousand in my savings at once. Now the possibilities were endless. I decided to look for a place to live. I found an upscale real estate agency near the hotel. The receptionist introduced me to Ava, a tall woman with a flawless suit and a haughty smile. We drove to an elite property showing in her shiny black sedan. During the ride, Ava asked about my budget. I'm not sure, I said honestly. Her lips curved into a slight sneer. We arrived at a sleek new development. Ava started rattling off prices that nearly made me laugh. Just months ago, such amounts would have been impossible, but she didn't know my situation. She treated me like a broke window shopper. I clenched my teeth, determined to show her and everyone else that my life had just begun anew. We stepped into a bright, modern condo with floor-to-ceiling windows. Ava gave a practice tour. Her tone was dismissive, as if she believed I couldn't afford the place. When I asked about the final sale price, she glanced down at her clipboard. It's listed at around $2,500,000, she said, sighing. I'm sure that's out of your range. Her condescension made my blood simmer. I pulled out my phone, opened my banking app, and turned the screen toward her. A large, unmistakable balance appeared. I watched her eyes widen. Her entire expression shifted. Oh my goodness, she stammered. I didn't realize. I calmly said, I'm prepared to purchase if we can finalize quickly. She swallowed hard. Yes, absolutely. We can start paperwork right away. The sudden change in her attitude was almost comical. She offered me water, asked if I wanted to see the rooftop pool again. I declined politely, but inside I was savoring the moment. I realized how often people judge by appearances, never suspecting I could hold that kind of wealth. For the first time in my life, I felt true power, and it felt liberating. After finalizing the condo purchase, I thought about the investment potential. My mind was racing with ideas, so I asked Ava to show me a second property in the same building. She looked stunned, but quickly agreed. The second unit was just as luxurious. Maybe a bit smaller, but perfect for renting out. Ava hesitated when she told me the price as if scared to offend me. I just nodded and smiled. I'll take it. Her eyes nearly popped out of her head. Both? Are you sure? Yes. I was calm, though my heart was hammering with excitement. I had never spent money like this, but it wasn't about showing off. It was about securing my future, creating stability that no one could take away. We signed the papers that same day. I left the agency owning 2 luxury condos. The city lights reflected on the polished marble floor as Ava thanked me repeatedly, her voice full of awe. I could tell she'd be bragging about this sale for weeks. When I stepped into the elevator to return to my hotel, I stared at my reflection in the mirrored walls. I looked the same, but inside I felt like a new person. It didn't take long for word to spread. Maybe Ava bragged to Bella or maybe Aaron heard rumors. The next morning, my phone rang nonstop. I finally answered a call from Aaron, whose voice trembled with urgency. You bought 2 condos. Everyone's talking about it, he babbled. Bella's friend Ava said you dropped millions like it was nothing. Where'd you get that money? I rolled my eyes remembering how he'd called me useless just days ago. That's my business, I said calmly. He paused then spoke in a whisper. Listen, Bella is freaking out. She lost a side gig and Dad's furious with the bills. We need your help. My heart pounded with both anger and sadness. They still expected me to swoop in. Their words had changed from insults to pleas, but I wasn't the same Jasmine who crumbled under their demands. I'm sorry, Aaron, I said, voice cold. I can't help you. He started to argue, but I hung up before he could finish. I stood there in my new living room, phone in hand, breathing fast. I realized something important. I wasn't powerless anymore. They needed me, but I sure didn't need them. For the next week, I received a flood of texts from my mother, my father, and even Bella, who once called me not good for anything. Now they will have desperate apologies and sweet words. Mom texted, "We miss you. Let's talk." Dad left voicemails, "Jasmine, come home. We can fix this." Bella tried a more friendly approach. "You know we love you, sis. Don't let money come between us." I couldn't believe the audacity. I reread their harsh words from just days before, still fresh in my memory. Then I looked at these new messages, dripping with fake concern. They wanted access to my money, not me. One afternoon, a bouquet of flowers appeared at my door with a note signed by Aaron. It read, "We're sorry. Let's start over." I tore the card in half. I was done falling for their manipulation. My phone kept ringing, but I ignored it. With each passing day, I felt stronger, more certain I'd made the right choice. I had been their crutch for too long. Late one night, I blocked all their numbers, turned off my phone, and gazed out my condo window. For the first time in years, I felt peaceful. Despite blocking them, my family found other ways to reach me. One morning, as I stepped out of my condo building, I spotted Aaron waiting by the entrance. He looked disheveled, like he hadn't slept. He rushed over, eyes red. "Jasmine, please just talk to me," he begged. I stood firm, heart pounding. "I have nothing to say to you." Tears welled in his eyes, though I wondered if they were genuine. "I'm sorry for calling you useless. We were stressed. We need your help. Bella's in trouble. Dad can't pay the rent. Mom's health is getting worse." His words tugged at my old guilt, but I reminded myself how they laughed when I lost my job, how they never cared about my exhaustion. "I'm hiring a driver," I said flatly. "I won't be walking out this door alone again. Don't wait for me." He reached for my arm, but I pulled away. "Jasmine, we're family. You can't shut us out." I stared at him. "Family is supposed to care, Aaron. You only care now that I have money." I turned and hurried to a waiting taxi. My hands trembled the whole ride, but my resolve was like steel. I thought the drama would end if I ignored them. I was wrong. One morning, I woke to countless notifications on my social media. My name was trending. Confused, I clicked a link. It was a live stream of Aaron crying titled, "My sister abandoned us after getting rich." He put on a pitiful show claiming I'd left them destitute. He lied saying, I refused to pay for our mother's medical care and that I only cared about my fancy lifestyle. He played sad music, dabbed his eyes, and told an exaggerated story of our perfect family life before I turned greedy. The chat comments were pouring in. Some viewers pitied him, calling me cruel. Others asked for more proof. My stomach twisted in rage. He was flipping the script completely. My phone buzzed with messages from friends who knew better, urging me to set the record straight. Part of me wanted to hide, but another part was done being the silent victim. Aaron had crossed a line. If he wanted to take this to the court of public opinion, then I'd meet him there, armed with the truth. And I wasn't afraid to reveal every ugly detail. That same afternoon, I set up my own live stream. I titled it, "The Truth About My Toxic Family," and a surprise. A small audience joined at first, but word spread quickly. People were curious to hear my side. I sat in front of my phone, hands shaking, but my voice was steady. Hi everyone. I'm Jasmine. You might have seen my brother's livestream claiming I abandoned my family. I have receipts, literally. I clicked through files on my computer showing invoices for rent, bills, and groceries I had paid. I had bank statements proving I funded mom's medical treatments. I laid out texts where Bella called me lazy and useless. I read them aloud, feeling a tremor in my chest. Then I said, here's the surprise. I announced I'd be donating $100,000 to a local women's shelter, live, to prove I wasn't greedy. I clicked the donate button on camera. The chat exploded with reactions. I ended with, I've supported my family for 12 years, but when I lost my job, they mocked me. Now that I've come into money, they want back in. I'm done being their ATM. I took a shaky breath, then ended the stream. My heart hammered, but I felt a surge of triumph. Word of my livestream spread. Clips went viral. Online communities started comparing Aaron's tearful pleas to the hard evidence I'd shown. I was inundated with messages, some supportive, some skeptical. But my proof spoke for itself. So, I decided to do a follow-up stream. This time, I shared more personal history. I told viewers how I gave up college to work for my family's sake, how Ms. Perkins had left me an inheritance because of my loyalty. I even displayed photos of my life at home, my cramped room, the house always in disrepair. I explained how my siblings rarely worked yet demanded luxuries. New phones, trendy clothes, gaming consoles. I covered the times Dad claimed he'd look for a job but ended up lazing around. The chat was outraged on my behalf. Tears welled in my eyes as I recalled the nights I went without sleep, worrying how to cover yet another medical bill for Mom. I've done enough, I said firmly into the camera. This money is my chance at freedom, and I won't be shamed into giving it away. The support rolled in like a wave. I saw hashtags forming, calling for my protection and praising my courage. My phone buzzed constantly with notifications. People were sending messages of encouragement. A single mom wrote, I understand your pain. Thank you for inspiring me to stand up for myself. Another commenter said, I was manipulated by my family too. Now I feel less alone. The more I spoke up, the more the public saw Aaron's deception. Someone dug up his old posts bragging about how he never worked a day in his life. Another person found Bella's tweets complaining about me being too controlling with her money. I released voice recordings of Bella mocking me, telling me to get a sugar daddy since I couldn't afford college. I showed short videos of Aaron complaining about having to buy his own groceries for once. People were shocked. The backlash against my family was swift. Aaron's stream got bombarded with angry comments. He tried to spin more lies, but the evidence was too strong. The internet can be ruthless, and this time, it was on my side. Seeing strangers rally behind me lit a spark in my chest. I realized there were thousands of people who identified with my story. They saw my strength, and it gave me even more resolve. Aaron's channel faced a mass report campaign. His sponsors, he had a few small brand deals, quickly dropped him. Online forums picked apart every inconsistency in his story. He tried another teary video, but viewers weren't buying it. The platform took action, and his channel was banned for misleading content and harassment. Bella tried to speak up on her own social media, but she faced a similar storm. People saw through her new sweet persona. She'd publicly slammed me before, and now those receipts were everywhere. I didn't feel glee at their downfall, just relief. They couldn't spread lies about me anymore. Still, part of me felt a pang of sorrow. We were siblings once, or at least I thought we were. But maybe it was always just me giving and them taking. Late one night, I got a call from a blocked number. I answered reluctantly. It was Aaron, sobbing and ranting that I'd ruined his life. He said, "We're your family. How could you do this?" I said quietly, "You did this to yourself." Then I hung up. For once, I didn't feel any guilt. Their power over me was gone. The avalanche of support online emboldened me further. I consulted with a lawyer about the defamation my family spread. He agreed there was a strong case, so I filed a lawsuit against Aaron for damages to my reputation. Any future job prospects he might have harmed, plus emotional distress. It felt surreal but necessary. My family had used me for years and then tried to ruin me publicly. I was done turning the other cheek. A few weeks later, I won the case. The ruling forced Aaron to pay a hefty settlement. Of course, he didn't have the cash. So, we reached a deal. I reclaimed the small house I'd once bought for my family during better times. It was in my name, but they'd treated it as theirs. They had never kept up with any legal paperwork, so the judge transferred full rights to me. It was a hollow, bittersweet victory. I remembered the excitement I felt when I first bought that house, thinking we'd finally live better. Now it was a symbol of their betrayal. Stepping inside its empty rooms one last time, I realized I felt no sadness, only relief that I was finally free. With the settlement finalized, I sold that old house for a decent profit and decided on something quieter, more peaceful. I found a lakeside property about an hour from the city. Surrounded by tall pines and calm waters, it felt like a sanctuary. Moving day was a whirlwind, but satisfying. I donated the furniture I didn't need, started fresh with only the things that brought me joy. I spent my first night on the porch, listening to crickets and gentle waves. I felt a weight lift off my chest. I looked at the stars and realized I no longer had to explain myself to anyone. No more guilt, no more demands for money. No more fear of not living up to their impossible expectations. For the first time, I felt like I was living my own life. Sure, my family was out there, probably still bitter, but that wasn't my concern anymore. I had a new circle of supportive friends online, a comfortable savings, and a home that felt like mine. Leaning against the porch rail, I whispered, "I'm free." And in that moment, I believed it with every fiber of my being. My life was finally my own, and I had no regrets.